All right, so we got some fun stuff on the show today. But this is kind of a disturbing one to start things off. But this one caught my eye because Chris Hedges, right after the war in Ukraine started, he says, to champion war is to, champion true horror. War, he says, is, maggots eating the eyes of children. It's really hell. It's horrible. And no story, I think, encapsulates that better than this one. So, Timothy Molyavanov, who I thought was a Russian account, posting this as an indictment of Ukraine. But it turns out, no, this is actually a pro Ukraine account, as we'll see later,
Oh, wow.
posting as a flex 70,000 women now serve in Ukraine's army, a 20% rise since 2022. Some fight while pregnant, crouching in trenches and living under bombardment. Many say they serve for their children's future and plan to return to duty even after giving birth. That's right. And the source for that Twitter thread, which we'll get a little more into later, is this article in the New York Times, expecting on the front lines, motherhood in Ukraine's military. That's right. Ukraine's military is finding it hard to recruit young men as the war with Russia grinds on. But women, all volunteers, are a bright spot. The number of women serving has grown more than 20% to about 70,000 since Russia's invasion in 2022. Those who become pregnant often serve in tough conditions under relentless shelling, living without heat in the winter, or running water and proper toilets. It's terrifying every single day, said Nadia, 25, who served as a frontline radio operator until she was 8.5 months pregnant. You wake up wondering if everything is okay, if everyone is still alive, she said, describing how every morning she would brush plaster off her bed that had fallen from the ceiling after a night of explosions. Pregnancy, she said, made it even more difficult. The clinic where she would get ultrasounds closed. So did many nearby hospitals. You're constantly thinking about your child's well-being, said Nadia, who gave birth to a boy, Yaroslav, in February. It was nonstop stress every day, combined with constant physical activity. While the U.S. Army and many other militaries remove pregnant soldiers from combat zones, Ukrainian women usually serve until their 7th month, and that is in a military that doctors and soldiers say is ill-equipped to support them, from uniforms that don't fit pregnant women to a lack of prenatal care and nurseries amid the costs and challenges of fighting the war. Despite the hardships, many pregnant soldiers say they understand the military has more pressing priorities and that they are motivated to serve for the future of Ukraine and their children. Our children are the future of this country, said Olia, 39, a combat medic in eastern Ukraine who gave birth to a girl in May. We have to protect our children, and we have to liberate the country for their future. Once they gave birth, women also face wrenching decisions about how long to stay home with their babies or whether to return to a military that desperately needs them. Nadia said that after her baby was born, she was allowed 126 days of paid leave if she wanted to return to the front. Otherwise, she could take off 3 years unpaid. How can I leave him? She said she wondered before deciding to take the 3 years with the intention of returning to service after that. Valentina cut short her maternity leave to return to service. Olia, the senior combat medic in eastern Ukraine, said she was surprised to find out she was pregnant last September. I did not plan to get pregnant. When I went to war, I wanted to fight until victory, she said. So here she is, and if you notice, her pants don't button all the way because they don't have uniforms that can accommodate pregnant women. So you have this woman on the front lines with clothes that don't even fit. Women in combat roles with clothes that don't even fit. And even if they're not in combat roles, they're still in danger. They're still in grave danger up till 7 months pregnant, 8.5 months pregnant. And then after giving birth, they're compelled to come back as soon as possible. I mean, it's absolute hell on earth. That's what this country has turned into over the course of this war. So whenever you hear about, Ukraine bravely fighting for their future, look, I'm not going to take away from the bravery of these women, okay? But you have to ask, what does it say about the Ukrainian government? What does it say about NATO and the West that we are pushing this and pushing this and pushing this beyond any chance of victory on the battlefield. It's not enough a generation of men have been killed. Now you're going to put pregnant women and recently postnatal women in battle. And then what's going to happen to the kids when they die, which they're going to? I mean, they call this a meat grinder for a reason. I mean, the death toll of this is just astounding. And now you have pregnant women and new mothers joining the fight. She initially kept her pregnancy a secret, fearful she might get reassigned. But when bleeding landed her in the hospital for a week in December, Olia had to inform her commander. Doctors advised her to take it easy, according to Olia. She said that was hard to do as she was the only medic in her company and the guys still need medical help. Her commander made some adjustments and Olia stopped going into combat positions. Still, war was all around her for the duration of her pregnancy. Olia said she talked to her unborn baby to tell her what was going on around them and to tell her that she loved her, that they were going to be okay, and that they were doing an important task. She bristled at the suggestion that some might question her priorities. I'm ready to assume responsibility that I am near the combat zone with my child. I do everything to protect her, Olia said. I have to stay and help here. In late May, she gave birth to her baby girl, Irina. While Olia has officially quit the military, she plans to re-enlist in a year or so. We have very few people left with the necessary level of experience and professionalism, she said. And this is a long game, so we are needed. Okay, so back to this guy. Once again, I thought that this was tweeted out because this tweet went semi-viral, over 700,000 views. I assume that this was an expose on the state of the Ukrainian military and look how horrible this is, look how urgently this war needs to end, because now not only are they going through men, now they're pulling pregnant women and new moms into battle. But no, apparently, because, judging by a lot of the replies, which we'll read in a moment, some of them, this seemed to be a Ukraine hawk account. So yes, Timothy Milavinov is a Ukrainian economist and educator, passionately leads the Kiev School of Economics while advocating for Ukraine's resilience and anti-corruption reforms against Russian aggression. Milavinov exposes Russian drone attacks on Ukrainian civilians and Trump's tariff war on India over Russian oil. The ex-community engages actively, praising his insights on Ukraine's resilience, while some criticize his views as propaganda. So here's some responses. When a nation shovels pregnant women into a trench, the war isn't just lost, it's cursed. That isn't valor, it's the sound of civilization gnawing off its own future. Yes, that is very well put. Lay down the arms, confess the madness, and spare the unborn from being born into a grave. Axiomatic enemy of the state says, can you show some pictures of Zelensky's wife on the front lines or any of the wives of the other Ukrainian aristocracy? Or is this fate just reserved for the peasant girls? And finally, Sovereign Human says, what kind of fucked up country and leadership sends pregnant women to the front lines? Yeah, the idea that this is something to be proud of or something to tout is just completely perverse. This is a statement on just how far gone this war is and how at this point, to keep fighting is, it's a crude way of putting it, to throw good money after bad money. Like, how many people have to just die needlessly? It's not enough you went through your men. Now you have to put pregnant women into battle, and they're touting this as some sort of statement of resilience, as if it should be celebrated. I mean, they're brave. I don't take that away from them, obviously. But when you step back even an inch from this, you just see just what a horrible state of affairs this is. And look at the position. Not this is on their mind, but think about this. Now, if you're Russians, you're fighting against pregnant women. You're shooting at pregnant women. You're shelling pregnant. I mean, it's just, it's a humanitarian nightmare. It's a nightmare. And, stories like this really highlight the human cost of this war, which has been somewhat overshadowed, obviously, by the genocide in Gaza and by the fact that we don't see much video of the human cost of this war. We see, videos of men getting pulled out of their cars and taken off the streets and shipped to the front lines. But this is another side of this that we really don't see or hear from much, but it is just harrowing to hear these accounts of these women getting pulled into battle, pregnant and just after giving birth.
Yeah, as soon as you started reading it, and I got a sense of the tone of the article, it's very Starship Troopers. Yes,
You know,
citizens, pregnant women are going to the front lines. It's just so deranged. And, going to something Nick Cruz often points out, we are really the most propagandized country on earth, hands down, no question about it. You want to say Putin is an autocrat? Okay, you can get into the history of why, when the Russians got a taste of what our idea of economic liberalization would mean, Goldman Sachs coming in and raping their country, and Russia becoming a client state of the West. There are whole articles you can look up. Clinton sent in his own team to secure Yeltsin the presidency. So they got a taste of what our idea of freedom and democracy is. And they went to a strong man that would protect the country from Western predations. If we did not want that, maybe we should have treated them a little differently at the end of the Cold War. But it's no surprise that they would have fallen back on historic patterns, given that we very quickly reduced their country to one where I think it was something like 75% of Russian high school girls said they would engage in prostitution for money at the depths of the post-Cold War economy,
right.
where they're trading tires for eggs. Like, what did you, that is the face that we put on democracy and liberal economics for them. What did you expect them to do? So now we're here. What's Ukraine? He's banned political parties, he's banned press, and now they're putting, can you imagine if Putin put pregnant women on the front lines of a war?
Yeah.
When you look at who we're allied with, the basic premise that this has anything to do with democracy, freedom, like we care about those things. You can be an enemy to the United States, an enemy, or you can be a client. There is no other category that we allow countries to function in. If Russia at the end of the Cold War had allowed itself to become a client of the United States, well, you'd have very different rhetoric around Russia. That is the cardinal sin of Russia. It's not Putin. It's not, we don't care about any of that. It is that Russia did not bend the knee to the West. That is all this is about. And they are willing to destroy Ukraine. This is not anything against the Ukrainian people. This war is against the Ukrainian people.
Right.
The West is against the Ukrainian people. They are willing to destroy that entire population, wipe it out in order to drain Russia's resources, human and economic. That's all this is.
Exactly. Yes. It's a great feat of propaganda that to express disgust at the fact that pregnant women are being dragged to the front line is somehow a statement against Ukraine. It's against
Right,
the policies of
right,
the Ukrainian
right.
government, and it's against the cravenness of the United States and NATO to use the Ukrainian people as cannon fodder for a proxy war. I don't have a quarrel with the Ukrainian people that such that I wish this upon them. I mean, yeah, they do have a bit of a they do a bit of an NAZI problem over there, sure, but
Yeah.
I don't wish them I don't wish them this. I don't
Mhm.
wish anybody this, right? And the idea that to call this out in a way that puts it in a negative light is somehow to trash Ukraine or a statement against the people of Ukraine is completely sick. It's completely backwards. The tone of the New York Times article was the exact same as the tone of the guy who like tweeted it out. They're
Right.
reporting it as if this is something to be celebrated and venerated, as opposed to like at the start of the segment I pointed out. What Hedges says about war as a war reporter is absolutely right. I mean, war
Right.
is hell. That is not an
Right.
exaggeration. It is literal
Right.
hell on earth. It's hell on earth for anybody, including men who are capable of fighting it. You're going to put pregnant women on the front line. When my wife was 7 months pregnant, she could barely stay awake for 4 hours at a time. They're going to go do battle? Like, it's completely fucking sick and psychotic. And it should have never started, and it has to end. And when you see stories like this written in that kind of tone, it shows you, yeah, what you said. Like, we are the most propagandized people in the world. There's no question about that.
Well, and on the Ukrainian end, like, why are they going to this extreme? I think Zelensky is gambling, and maybe rightly, that in the end, the West will not let them go down. That in the end, they're going to get their Western troops and they're going to get their World War III. This is what they want. And that's why the situation is as dangerous as it is, because you have a so-called ally, a client state, that it desperately wants to start World War III.
Yes.
Please clap.